All right, y'all, we are back with another video, and here we go again, back with Candace Owens exposing Kamala Harris. You know, we all know Kamala Harris is a fraud. She is a fake. We know that this woman is an Indian. She's trying to portray herself as she's black. She lied in her book talking about this black woman was her grandma. I mean, just all type of lies. And Candace Owens then got even more evidence. She said, breaking, Kamala's family friend confirms race hoax. So this right here is about to be terrifying. And this is the stuff that the media would not ask Kamala Harris. They would just really sit there and just let this woman lie to the American people. And that's the reason why she's down in the polls now. Nobody believes her. Nobody takes her serious. She does not need to be anywhere near the White House. We have to get President Trump back in that White House. 4 years of Donald Trump and then 8 years of JD Vance is where I stand. So like I said, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That way, you know what I'm saying, YouTube will share the video so we can get it out there more. And that way I can help Candace Owens spread her message. So please hit that like button so more people can see this video. Hopefully y'all stay to the end with me. We about to find out exactly this information Candace Owens got on Kamala Harris. Let's go.
Well, I am not quite sure what to say here, other than I humbly submit myself for your consideration to receive a Pulitzer Prize, maybe Time Person of the Year, a Golden Globe, a Grammy, something. I deserve something for my staunch commitment to the defense of Janet Jackson.
Yep.
Because guess what has happened? And by the way, this is not even unbelievable. It's actually the most believable thing in the world. A Jamaican woman has stepped forward who I can verify to you knew Kamala's Grandma Beryl. And she remembers her affectionately, by the way. Apparently, Grandma Beryl was a wonderful woman. She adored Kamala's Grandma Beryl. It was just one minor detail that was off. You see, the Beryl that she knew, the one that Kamala presented in her book, was not her. Because the Beryl she knew was white. Yeah, let's get started. Welcome back to Candace. Was conduct basic black people science. I looked at this photo here, the photo that Kamala put in her book of her and Grandma Beryl, and I said, no. Scientific consensus rejects this theory for a ton of reasons. One of them being, I just didn't feel like this woman was her grandma. I have a Caribbean grandma. They're all up in your face. I don't feel the affection in this photo. I'm not thinking this is a very dark woman. I'm not thinking this is the mother of Donald Harris at all.
Exactly.
Like, I know genetics can be funky, but I was going, this woman does not look like she owned and operated a store. There were so many things that were throwing me off. Even the whole story of the grandparents owning all of these stores. I'm going, what are you talking about? 1914 to 1938 in Jamaica, but we were just getting out of slave chains. And you're telling me like your family just became like so dominant and we're running these dry goods stores and this grandma had that. Something was off, okay?
Yep, exactly.
And what was off was just the photos they were presenting. These people were too black. And then once we started looking into it, the fact that her campaign just shut off the tap on speaking about her blackness. They just wanted to move on, as if she had never said it. It was the entire brand. Remember, that's the pitch. She's going to be the first black female president of the United States. The media was trying to sell that, to force feed that to us. And
Exactly.
I said, Black scientific theory says, no, this ain't your grandma. But I was receiving a ton of emails from people that were insisting that Beryl was Kamala's grandmother. Among the emails were a flurry of people suggesting that I speak to a woman known as Lady Colin Campbell. She also goes as Lady C. I'm familiar with her work. I've seen her. She's written in the Daily Mail before, or has been written about in the Daily Mail. She's a British Jamaican author and a socialite who grew up in Jamaica. And she's deep on genealogy. She's written several books regarding the British royals. This woman likes history. She likes facts. And someone had sent me a clip of her from her YouTube channel during which she was fielding questions and people were asking her to look into my research into Kamala Harris. And she said, rather offhandedly, that she had asked around and that she had a friend that was on the island who had confirmed to her that Beryl was in fact Kamala's grandmother, seemingly putting to rest all of my theories. But I remained completely undeterred and I just ignored it. Lady C said that she was hoping to host that friend on her podcast in the future, and that the woman would spill all of the tea on how she knew Kamala's grandmother, Beryl. So I just waited. I waited for the future to arrive, and guess what? The future has arrived.
Let's go.
And as promised, Lady C hosted Dorothy, that's the woman's name, Dorothy, the woman who knew Grandma Beryl. And I will tell you, the conversation did not go as Lady C expected. I think primarily because people who did not watch every episode of this series into Kamala were not quite understanding what we were uncovering. There were all of these people making response videos. I was going, you clearly did not watch everything that we're doing. We never said that Beryl did not exist. We always believed that Beryl existed.
Yep.
We simply did not believe that the woman that was presented in Kamala's book was her. We believed that this was a case of stolen identity. Essentially, there was a Beryl, but the woman that was being pictured was not the grandma.
And was not.
Playing funny business like commies do, switching identities.
Yep.
And it was strange that even though Kamala presented a picture of Grandma Beryl in the book, she didn't mention her at all in the book. What's up with that? You're just trying to blackify yourself. But Lady C likes research. Lady C was good on her word. She hosted Dorothy. So let's watch the first part of their conversation. This is Dorothy, again, the Jamaican woman who grew up and knew Grandma Beryl, Miss Beryl, personally. Take a listen.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. We have a special guest with us today, Dorothy Otti, who is an old friend of mine. She's Jamaican, and she used to know Miss Beryl very well. They grew up in the same village.
Well, I grew up in the village where Miss Beryl lived. She was a lot older than me, of course.
Well,
and Miss Beryl is the grandmother of Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yes.
And she was just the most delightful lady. I have such fond memories of her. Excuse me. So there's a sweet that you have in Jamaica as a child, or grown-ups eat the sweet that's made from coconuts and caramelized sugar, and it's called a buster. Have you ever had?
Darling, in Maddie it was called Bustamante Backbone.
Okay, so it was called a buster. And Miss Beryl had a shop. And in the mornings, my Uncle Cecil would take me by the hand. We'd go up the road for a walk. And on the way, everyone that goes past, it would be, "Good morning, Mas Cecil." And "How are you, Miss Dar?" And by the time we got to Miss Beryl's shop, she would either offer me a buster or this other delicious sweet called a Paradise Plum.
Yes, I remember Paradise.
Yeah,
Plums.
but Miss Beryl, she was just so lovely. We would have these conversations as a little girl whenever I went past with Uncle Cecil, and it was always, "How are you doing with your books? Are you reading? Are you learning your times table?" Of course, she was a businesswoman, so she was very good at things like mathematics, of course.
Okay.
And she was, looking back now, you could see she was a trailblazer. Because the shop that she had, she actually built it herself. So we lived in a village, and her shop was the only what you would call an upstairs, downstairs house. All the other houses were like bungalows on one level with gardens and stuff. I remember in our garden, we had gladiolas.
Sound like she'd know her.
Okay, a couple of things flagged to me as interesting there. So she was really good at mathematics. Okay, so we're talking about a Black person. Again, this would not have been more than a couple of decades removed from slavery. And she was really good at mathematics, extremely well read, owned and operated a shop, and had the biggest house.
Red
What are we
flags.
talking about? This doesn't feel like the correct kind of a Black story that I'm used to.
Exactly.
A couple of generations ago, you go back, most Black people have my grandparents' sharecropping farm. I mean, but who knows? I'm like, okay, Very clearly, though, we know she's telling the truth right away because this is a good fact check against what Donald Harris wrote when he wrote a story about their Jamaican heritage for Jamaican Online Global.
Yep.
And he talked about those bustas. He talked about him and his sister Enid and how they loved the bustas. I think he said it was around Easter time. So everything she's saying sounds correct. But it was this part, this next part, that instantly let me know that this woman was the real deal. Because she presents a detail, something that I know to be a fact that I had not ever presented to the public.
Okay.
Remember when I told you that I got on the phone with a family member of Kamala Harris?
I remember
and
that.
That family member told me that Donald Harris had two siblings, Enid Harris, who I have spoken to you guys about, and another sibling who I had never mentioned. It was Beryl's son, and his name was Kenneth. And this woman starts speaking about the Kenneth that I had never mentioned, who would be Donald Harris's brother. Take a listen.
Was it a village or was it a hamlet? How many people would have been in it? How many houses? How many residents?
So at one time, everyone that lived there, was a village. There was probably about 80 or 90 people. But at one time, everyone that lived there was a relative of mine.
Oh.
Really?
Yes.
What about Miss Beryl?
So this would have been before people such as Miss Beryl moved there. But before that, everyone who lived there, and even as a child growing up, most of the residents were connected in some way on my mother's father's side, my grandfather's side, where they were all related. But Miss Beryl, my darling, also had a son. He was called Kenneth. And Kenneth had a motorbike, the equivalent of what we would now call a Harley Davidson. And of course, so at the time I would have been no more than 4 or 5. I'm not interested in what make your bike is. And he would put me on the front of the bike, whenever I came past with Uncle Cecil, and I would sit there and he would switch the engine on. And of course, looking back now, I realize the bike never moved, but he just held on to me, and I thought I was riding a bike, and I grew up absolutely loving motorbikes. He was very handsome.
Beryl
getting
must have
details.
had some money. Her son has...
We are getting details, and you can tell this woman, she know exactly what she's talking about. Then she, said Kenneth. So, I mean, we getting down to the meats and potatoes. But this woman is not done yet. She got even more proof that this woman that Kamala Harris put in her book is not her grandma. So, I don't know who grandma that Kamala Harris went and stole and tried to place her in there and took a picture and said that was her grandma. She is dead wrong for that. Why would you not put your real grandma there? Why would you put a black woman to try to sell that book as if you are black? Come on. Then she took another picture with like a black man behind her. Then it was like these black couple. She's saying that was her aunties and uncles, and they like dark-skinned people. It's like this woman is a fraud. Her book is a fraud. She just plagiarized the Wikipedia. I mean, it's just so much fraud about this woman. But let's keep this going, though, because this woman here from Jamaica, she's not done.
The equivalent of a Harley Davidson. He was very handsome. He's got riding around on his motorbike. What are we talking about here? Like I said, this is when I knew that this woman was dialed in, because I had never spoken about Kenneth publicly, not for any particular reason. I just literally hadn't gotten around to it as I've been collecting all of this evidence to present to the public on Kamala's family and looking into Enid and looking into Kenneth. So very interesting. Again, sounds like this Beryl had a lot of money. It's just not giving the person that is pictured in Kamala's book.
It's not.
Now, of course, naturally, Kamala Harris then comes up in this conversation. And Dorothy keeps this same positive energy. She's very positive, right? She has a spirit about her. She has this fond memory. Delightful. She's delightful in her approach about Beryl. And she's delightful in her approach about Kamala. And Kamala's features. She really likes Kamala's facial features. I'll tell you why. Take a listen.
And Miss Beryl, by the way, I see Vice President Harris on the box. And I sit up straight and I think, my God, she looks so much like Miss Beryl. Her facial features, the only thing is Miss Beryl was much smaller in stature, but
Well, okay, if Miss Beryl, because Kamala is very fair-skinned.
Right.
Was Beryl fair-skinned?
yes, she was.
She was.
She was. She was fair-skinned.
She was. Okay.
Yes, she was very fair-skinned with black hair.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So she was so fair-skinned that now that I'm older and I can spot people by their skin coloring, etc. For me, I would say there was something Irish there.
How interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say somewhere along the line she would have had ancestors that were Irish. Yes.
Actually, can I show you a photograph
Of course.
of an old lady?
Yes.
And some people speculate
Yeah.
that this is Miss Beryl.
Right.
So, sorry, bear
That's
with me.
okay.
I am so untechnological.
Okay.
It's just pathetic.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Nah, that's not Miss Beryl.
That's
Wow.
not Miss
That's
Beryl.
definitely not Miss Beryl.
Yo, that was fast. So this woman know what she's talking about. That was fast. Soon as she seen that picture, oh no. It ain't like she had to look for a minute and stare like, I don't remember this. No, she like, oh no. Just like we'll know if we know a person. Like we see a picture, no, I don't know who that is. That was fast. I'm telling you. Let's keep this going.
That's not Miss Beryl.
So,
And-
let me just show you.
Yeah.
So,
That is not Miss Beryl.
That's
No,
not Miss Beryl.
definitely not Miss Beryl.
okay.
And I know what she looks like. I couldn't have been in a dream, and she definitely did not look like that.
There's another person, but could that be Miss Beryl?
No, that's not
That's
Miss
not Miss
Beryl.
Beryl.
That's not Miss Beryl either.
Okay.
Don't know who that is.
Okay.
So this woman said that's not Miss Beryl either. So why did Kamala Harris put these two older ladies in her book to make it seem like that was her grandma? I mean, that just goes to show you that this woman is a liar, man. She's a liar. She's a fraud. And then I used to see people in the comment section, they be like, who cares? We care. Because you know why we care about this and why Candace Owens is looking into this? Because why would you have somebody that's running for president that's trying to lie about her race just to get elected? And she's trying to, and not only is she lying, she's lying to black people trying to say, hey, I'm just like you. And then she pisses us off and try to make it seem like that we wash greens in a bathtub. Who does that? I don't know no black person who ever washed greens in a bathtub. I don't care how many I got. I don't care how many I got. She talking about she got so many greens one year, she had to wash them in the bathtub. That's where people take baths, hair, all type of stuff. And you washing them in a bathtub? It's like, come on. This woman is a fraud. She's a fake. And she did the wrong thing by going after Janet Jackson, because that showed enough what ticked off Candace Owens. So I'm glad she's looking into this. You can't try to use black to try to win over black people. I mean, I don't like identity politics. I don't like choosing presidents off what color they are. Is your policies going to help me? Is what I want to choose my president off of. Is your policies going to help my family in the long run? Is you going to keep them borders closed? Is you going to bring down inflation? You're going to bring down them grocery prices. Them gas prices is what I want. I don't care what color you are. And she's trying to use that she's black when she's in video saying she's Indian. So it's like, come on, man. That's bad. That's bad.
That's not Miss Beryl. That ain't Miss Beryl. You know, as you were describing the fair skin and looking like Kamala, I was thinking this can't be the Miss Beryl grandma that's in Kamala's book. And clearly you see Lady C's going, wait, fair skin? What? Maybe is this? Nope, that's not Miss Beryl. I didn't dream. That's not Miss Beryl. yeah, that sounds about right. You're saying Irish. And that's funny because Judge Joe Brown had a very distinct memory that Donald Harris told him that he was Irish and Hindu. And things are starting to add up, not in Kamala Harris's favor. And I don't know what to say here, ladies and gentlemen, other than I am truly, untypically speechless.
Me too.
I don't think I possess within me the adequate vocabulary to discuss my distaste for a woman who borrowed a black person for her autobiography so that she could secure the black vote.
Yep, that's what she did.
Do you understand how fundamentally racist that is?
It very is racist. And she should be asked about that. We know for a fact that CNN, MSNBC, they ain't going to talk about it. They ain't going to talk about this. So she really just used somebody's black grandma and took a picture with her and tried to say, hey, that's my grandma. That's me as a little baby sitting on this black woman's leg. And you could tell this black woman was looking off to somewhere else, wasn't even looking at holding the baby. So it's like this whole book is a fraud. She's trying to portray this book as if she's a black person that grew up in black neighborhoods and all type of stuff. And we see straight through it. This is terrible.
Do you understand how despicable that is?
Yep.
I mean, you have to be the worst kind of political vermin to borrow a black person to put in your book to present to the public as your grandma, who definitively was not your white Irish grandma. Okay,
Exactly.
I don't have the word. I need someone to throw me a thesaurus so I can find it.
What Kamala, what she should have did, what she should have said, this is not my real grandma, but this woman was a grandma to me. That's what she should have did. If she'd have wrote that, it wouldn't even be no problems. That's what she should have wrote. But when you put this is my grandma and nothing else, now you're lying to the American public. You're lying to us. That's all you had to write was, this is not my real grandma, but she was a grandma to me. That's all she had to do. But she can't do that because she want to lie, just like she's been lying to black people the entire time.
To expand my vocabulary, to be able to legitimately express my disgust for Kamala Harris.
Yep.
And my now general disgust for any person who supports this woman or from here on out purports that she is the first black anything, okay? She is beyond despicable. This woman has no soul. You have to have no soul to do that. And if my instincts are correct, the person that she is showing is indeed someone she knows and is likely, like I said from the very beginning, the help. The help who would have taken on the name of the people who they worked for. It's very common. That's why you talk about having slave names. You take on the last name, the first name. When we saw that woman who was listed looking for a housekeeper position that said Beryl or Christy, it is my suspicion that this was the help, meaning this was likely the woman that was working for the wealthy Miss Beryl who was buying her children Harley Davidsons. I mean, it's just, this is this should end her chances at the White House. If we have any sort of moral sensibility in this country, you would never allow a person like this to assume office. Because if she is willing to lie like this, if she is willing to, this is essentially the worst kind of blackface. Okay, this is what you are seeing now. Kamala Harris is, in fact, a minstrel show. She said, I'm running for president. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm just going to blackify myself. Fake aunties, fake uncle photos. Oh, I actually just called them. And what is she going to say to this? Is she going to come out now and say, oh, when I said Grandma Beryl, I meant like that's just what we called her affectionately. Yeah. Grandma Beryl.
Yeah, and even if you say that, you should have wrote that. You should have said, that's not my grandma. We just call her that because she was she was like a grandma to us. It's ways you could have did this, but when you just leave it, that's my grandma with nothing else around it, that's when we have a problem. So it's like, come on.
As she was doing our laundry and picking up after us, we called her. What is she going to say that is possibly going to be accepted? And will the press do their job now? Stop pretending this is a conspiracy and recognize that this woman put on blackface because she wants to win the election.
Yep.
Megan Thee Stallion, I'm calling you. Every person who twerked, danced, applauded, said to the public, this is a black woman. It is now incumbent upon you to take a step back, examine what we have revealed, and to take it back. Take everything you said back about this woman. Apologize for platforming her, for believing this. It's fine. I'll accept the apology, but keep the exact same energy. Oh, she's black? Okay. Now that you know that she's not, you should be angry, and you should present these facts to the public and to your followers and to your fan base.
Yep.
Like I said, I am shocked. I'm not shocked, but I am shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am not surprised. It was inevitable. I was never going to let go. Like, I pretty much knew that I was on the right track. Her silence about the matter was deafening. The removal of everything seemed very suspicious. No longer speaking about her blackness seemed very suspicious. Now she's too highbrow. I'm not even going to address. You know why you're not going to address it? Because you're not black.
Exactly.
You are not black. You never have.
And I've been saying that for the longest that she wasn't. And that's the reason why we found it like strange when you, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, when you talking about washing greens in a bathtub, as you trying to say that's what black people do. Then she went to, it's just like the same stunt Hillary Clinton pulled in 2016 when she went to time out. I carry around hot sauce in my purse. And Charlamagne said, you trying to pander to black people? She said, is it working? It's the same playbook. It's just crazy that she does this, and depending on what crowd she get around is when she changes up her accent.
Have been black a day in your life. You truly disgust me. I want you to know that you are filth. Kamala Harris is filth. And Lady C was similarly shocked, gobsmacked, as she put it. Take a listen.
And gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked. And it then begs the question, did she seriously think she was going to be able to get away with this?
She did.
I mean, I know Candace Owens has been going hell for leather on this.
Yes, she has.
Candace Owens is clearly black.
Yep.
So this is not about anti-blackness, because, as you could see, Dorothy is not white. So, I mean, I'm just stunned that any ambitious politician would present as a grandparent of hers, and Kamala Harris is very fair-skinned. Whether she calls herself black or brown, she's still fair-skinned. But she definitely has black blood. So to that extent, it's not anything artificial. What does seem to be extraordinary is the creation of a black grandmother when her grandmother was of color but wasn't black. And she just, did she get somebody off the street and pop them in the photograph? Was it a helper? Who was this woman? I mean, it boggles the imagination.
It does.
Don't you worry. Leave it with
And then shout out to Candace Owens for doing this. Remember, when Donald Trump spoke on it, they tried to tear Donald Trump a new one. And the thing is, Donald Trump was just speaking on what everybody else was speaking on. We was already talking about she wasn't black. And Donald Trump said here, the time that I've been knowing her, she's always been Indian. I didn't know she turned black. And they tried to scold Donald Trump for that. So I am so glad like Donald Trump just left that alone. He don't even speak on it no more. He don't speak on her being if she's black or not, because they was trying to use that against Donald Trump to make it seem like he's racist toward black people when this woman is not even black. So I'm glad he just don't even speak on it no more. So I'm glad Candace Owens is the one doing it, because they can't say nothing to us. They can't say nothing. And Trump ain't got to say nothing. We going to say it for him. And he wasn't being like racist about it. He was like, hell, since I've been known her, she's been an Indian. I didn't know she turned black. And all of a sudden, she turned black when she started running for president. Facts, this is the facts.
me, Lady C. From one Lady C to another, I'm going to get to the bottom of who that woman is in the picture, and I'm going to get to the bottom of who the Irish Beryl actually is, because here's what happens now. Blood is in the water, my friends. Okay.
Yep.
If you watch the full interview, you should cut over to Lady C's YouTube channel and watch the entire thing. That woman gave a ton of accidental clues about the Irish Beryl that we are now looking for. She excelled at mathematics. She built a home. She resembles Kamala Harris. She had black hair. She owned a store which specialized in making bustas. Now we can refocus our attention and look for the true Beryl, the white-looking Beryl. And we are going to be able to find that person. I sense it. Now, like I said, there is way too much information out there. And we need to put tremendous amounts of pressure for Kamala Harris to respond. Because like I said, you have to be borderline psychopathic to do what she did. Do you understand? Like, just take a pause here and recognize how demented you have to be, okay, to approve the printing of a book with a photo featuring a photo of who you purport is your grandma Beryl. You standing next to a woman who was likely cleaning your dirty underwear. Okay, likely. That's what I think. I feel it in my soul that that's who these women were that were pictured in here. This woman doesn't recognize Iris. Grandma Iris was the second photo she showed. We zoomed in on it. She doesn't recognize anyone. Dorothy's going, I don't know who these people are. Okay, you have to be utterly demented.
To be lying like that.
Hell-bent on power. You will stop at nothing to achieve power if you have no shame. If you have no shame, knowing that you come from a long line of slave owners, that you would then appropriate the identity of a real black woman so that you can what? Re-enslave black people in America today. That's exactly why she's doing it. She is disturbed. Okay.
Sure is.
Like I said, this is now a beginning. We get to refocus our attentions. I have a ton of suspicions. I truly believe that I was on the right track when I examined the same thing for Christiana Brown. I believe they're lying about who Christiana Brown is. And I'm going to find both of these women. What do we have? 18, 19 days until the election. I'm not letting go, guys.
I'm not either.
Just email me if you find any information, info@CandaceOwens.com. You know where we will be. This woman is not going to get away with this. I'm disgusted.
Yep.
All right, guys. Also reminding you about preborn, because Kamala Harris is the first vice presidential candidate to ever visit an abortion facility. And Tim Walz supported a bill in his home state which legalized the denial of life-saving medical care to infants born alive after botched abortions. The media has dubbed this the abortion election. We have to take a stance against this evil. When you join forces with Preborn, the largest pro-life organization in the nation, you are protecting the greatest victims in our society, babies in their mother's womb. Preborn's network of clinics are positioned in the highest abortion areas in the nation, and they have rescued over 300,000 babies. When a woman considering an abortion searches to end her baby's life, Preborn is there. Preborn gives these women in need a free ultrasound. The power of hearing a heartbeat on the ultrasound combined with God's love doubles a baby's chance at life. One ultrasound costs just $28, and up to 5 ultrasounds are $140. Any gift will help their cause. And to Kamala Harris's Brett Baer interview, which...
All right, so I think now Candace Owens is finna go ahead and react to the lies. I mean, this interview that she had, Brett Baer did a very good job, because he wasn't like The View over there with Whoopi Goldberg and CNN, where they just let Kamala just ramble for 3 minutes, because that's exactly what she tried to do. She tried to run the clock out on Brett Baer, and he was pushing back. He wasn't finna let her get them word salad answers and just move on to the next. That's exactly what she tried to do, and Brett Baer wasn't having it. So like I said, if y'all want me to check out Candace Owens' reaction to it, definitely let me know in the comment section, and I'll definitely check it out. But like I said, thank you all for watching. But I mean, you can tell that her whole book is a lie. Family with slave owners. I mean, this woman is just a fraud, and she's just straight lying in our faces like we've been knowing for the longest. So like I said, the more that Candace come out with more evidence on it, I will bring y'all the video, because I want to help Candace keep the message out there, help share the video so more people can get eyes on what Candace Owens is doing. And like I said before, she messed up when she came after Janet Jackson. So like I said, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.